Good morning, everybody, and I hope you all are having a great Thursday so far. And welcome to the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy's live stream. My name is Kristen, and I am the Community Engagement Manager here at the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy. And today we are going to be learning about shark diet. So as I said, we are starting our shark diet lesson today to round out our week about talking about our food chain. So if you guys missed Marianne's lesson yesterday, or if you did see her lesson, she talked about our food chains in our oceans. And then she did a activity at the end, how you can create your own food chain at home, and then how you can expand that to even make your own food web. So I highly encourage you guys to go back and watch that video because it is a great lesson that she did, and it's a great way to maybe get outside and use some sidewalk chalk or craft inside your own home if maybe there's not some great weather where you are at to create those food webs and food chains. But today we are going to talk about shark diet. And the first shark, obviously, because we are the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy, I had to talk about the white sharks because that is the shark species that we are studying. But maybe I'm going to give you guys a few fun facts about the white sharks here along the way in this part. But do you think that maybe you guys already know what white sharks eat and what their favorite food is? But did you know that their food might change a little bit from a juvenile to an adult? Their feeding habits change. So first we're going to talk about our juvenile white sharks. And in our photo here on our screen, this is Jameson. And he is a juvenile white shark that the research team has been able to tag and to track throughout its time being here off of Cape Cod and the East Coast of the United States. So when the research team first tagged Jameson was in 2016, if I'm remembering that date correctly, and Jameson was around 6 feet long. So when a white shark is in that juvenile stage, it's anywhere between 4 feet, and that's about the length they are at birth. So from 4 feet to 10 to 11 feet is that juvenile stage of a white shark. So in that, their teeth are a little bit different shaped than what adult white sharks are. So they do have that classic triangle shaped tooth, but as you can see here, you know, they're not as thick. They're more skinny and triangular, very similar to maybe what a Mako's tooth would look like. And with that, they don't have those classic steak knife serrations on their teeth like the adult white sharks do. So with that, these juvenile white sharks, they eat things more of squid and larger species of fish like sea bass. And those teeth are more specialized for capturing and grabbing onto that certain prey item. And then when they get older, they can upgrade to larger species of animals in our ocean. So then we have our adult white sharks. So with this species, for our adults, they are anywhere between from 11 feet and longer. And on average, we see white sharks grow about 18 feet in length. And with that, then once they get larger, their teeth start to develop that more classic white shark look that we all know, where it is that triangular shape. They are much bigger than what the juveniles are, and they start to have those serrations grow into them. And those serrations really help them in the food that adults eat, which would be, you know, marine mammals like seals and whales. Now, for a white shark, they will prey on dead whales. We usually don't see a white shark go after an adult whale. So they do feed on dead ones, but they have now these specialized teeth that are able to break through and kind of cut through that thick blubber and the more meatier animals like those marine mammals. And they still will eat those larger species of fish in our oceans like sea bass, and white sharks will also eat other species of sharks as well if that opportunity would arise with them. So with all species of sharks, they are opportunistic eaters. So if there is an animal in the ocean that is struggling and that is maybe an easy way for them to eat, and they're not exerting as much energy, they will eat other things, but their main diet is those marine mammals and the bony fish like a sea bass here in this photo. So our next species of shark, we're going to go from a really large shark to a very smaller species of shark, our Epaulette shark. Now for our Epaulette shark, this shark we do not see here on the east coast of the United States, unfortunately, but this shark is more found in the Australia and New Zealand region of our world. Now the Epaulette shark, they are bottom feeders. You'll see them on, the bottom sands or the bottom of coral reef areas where they live. And what's really cool about the Epaulette shark is that they have 26 to 35 rows of teeth. And this is something that I did not know about this species of shark until I was doing research to do this lesson for you guys today. And so this was a fun fact that I even learned myself being able to do this lesson for you all. And with this, they eat various invertebrates like worms and crabs, and they will eat smaller bony fish as well. But then as I was reading up on why they have so many rows of teeth is because, they are feeding on those sandy bottoms, and on those bottoms where maybe coral has broken off and those types of substrates. So as they're, maybe they're grabbing a worm up out of the sand, they're intaking sand as well. So as they're kind of chewing their food, that sand is there and it helps grind down their teeth. So they have so many rows of teeth so they can replace one another if a tooth would get dull or maybe broken or falls out, because they are ingesting that sediment that is around them. Now the Epaulette shark is also really cool. I wanted to share because this species can walk. Now, if anyone has seen a video of the Epaulette shark, I think it's in Blue Planet where David Attenborough does this huge, awesome description of how these sharks walk. And there's a great video of that. And I highly encourage you all after this lesson to watch that video. But they have a specialized muscle and fin adaptations to provide them movement along their tidal pool areas. So this is where a lot of them are feeding in, these really shallow areas. So their fins almost act like a paddle, and they use them to kind of move themselves along that shallow area. And it's very similar to how a salamander would move. And then because of that, I want you guys to look at this environment that this Epaulette shark is in. So as we can kind of see here, it's kind of sitting on top of the water. You can see it's not in deep water at all. And if there's one thing we know about sharks, how do sharks breathe? Do we remember? Now, sharks breathe underwater and through their gills. So this is something that a lot of scientists and maybe people that don't know much about Epaulette sharks are wondering, how are they able to breathe in this kind of environment where they're kind of slipping into really, really shallow areas of water? And they can actually survive in this area of low oxygen because they also have adapted a special routes for their blood to go to essential parts of their body, like their brain or their heart, to be able to pump blood to those various organs that are needed most in these situations, which I thought was pretty cool. Our next species of shark is our chain dogfish. Now, this is a species of shark that is seen here on the east coast of the United States in the Atlantic Ocean and is very worldwide spread. But what's really cool about this shark is that this is a shark that at our outreach facility, the Shark Center, we have in our little shark tank. So the photos you are going to see are of the sharks that we have here in our shark tank at our Shark Center. And then this is one of our sharks. This is our female, and her name is Jackie. And with this, that chain dogfish, they eat squid, small bony fish, worms, and crustaceans. And how they get the name the chain dogfish is by that specialized pattern that almost looks like a chain along their body. And this photo is of a shark pup. So we are really excited that we do have a male and female adult chain dogfish. And we have been very lucky that they have been able to reproduce. And this species of sharks actually lays eggs. So we've been able to see those baby sharks develop and then hatch as well. So this is one of our baby sharks that we have here in our tank. And then just like the white shark, their diet also shifts from a juvenile to an adult. And with that, when they become adults, they will eat more fish and invertebrates than the juvenile chain dogfish would. And with that, I do have a video to show you of them feeding. So with being a proper caretaker of these sharks, we do feed them. So I wanted to show a video of them feeding. So here is our 2 chain dogfish, and you can actually see here in the corner some of those developing shark eggs right there. And you can see how fast that these sharks do kind of take that shrimp up out of the tank. So we do feed our shark shrimp, and you can see here that is our female that just took the shrimp there from the bottom, but it is very fast, and they do take 1 or 2 chews, and then they do pretty much swallow that piece of food whole. And what's really awesome about this video is that you can see both of these sharks kind of, investigating and searching and kind of smelling around to try to find where that food is within the tank. So I wanted to show that video so you guys can see actually how fast sharks can actually intake their food. Next, we have our Wobbegong Shark. So the Wobbegong Shark is one of my favorite species of sharks. One, because they just look so cool, and they are very well camouflaged. So just like our Epaulette Shark, they are a species of shark that hangs out on the bottom of the ocean floors in that kind of rocky and sandy substrate. So the Wobbegong Shark has special camouflage to blend into their surroundings. And the Wobbegong Shark, a fun fact about them is that they got their name from an Australian Aboriginal word meaning shaggy beard. So as you can see here with our Wobbegong, they kind of have these long, here I'll go back to the main one so you can see it larger, that they have these long kind of tassels around their mouth, which are called barbels. And in that, it almost makes them look like they are bearded, so which is how they got the name Wobbegong. And these shark species is found along the Australia and New Zealand area, which is how they got that Australian Aboriginal word of the Wobbegong. And these are a bottom-dwelling fish, so they eat a bottom-dwelling fish, and they do sometimes eat invertebrates as well. So with that, because they are a bottom-dwelling shark, they're going to eat fish that are also bottom-dwelling because they are going to have that source of prey that is easily accessible for them. And these sharks have a specialized technique of catching their prey. Again, this is another video you guys can investigate after the lesson, is watching them actually intake their prey. They can open their mouth very wide and almost kind of suck in the water around them to be able to engulf all their food at once, and then they can swallow it whole, which is a very interesting technique that a lot of shark species do not have. And sometimes they do not swallow their prey whole just because they like to eat those bottom-dwelling fish and sometimes invertebrates. Sometimes Wobbegongs and all species of sharks can bite off things a little bit bigger than they can chew, and it actually is very common that they can see Wobbegong sharks eating other species of sharks as well. So this is a photo that a diver got while diving off of Australia, and you can kind of see here that this is a reef shark that it had partially swallowed and is starting to eat. So just because sharks say maybe they eat one thing, they are that opportunistic feeder, just like our Wobbegong here did and took another prey item. Our next species of shark is the Atlantic Sharpnose shark. Now, by looking at the name, where do we think this shark lives? Where do we think this shark lives? We're saying the Atlantic Ocean. You are correct. That is where the Atlantic Sharpnose shark lives. And this shark does have a little special place in my heart. This is one of the first shark species that I ever got to work with back in college. So this is me holding an Atlantic Sharpnose during a research trip during one of our research days when sampling sharks. And with that, these sharks they're very small. They rarely grow more than 3.5 feet long, as you can see here. It is a very small shark. And with that, they are very distinguished by that long pointed nose, how they got that sharp nose name as well. And these sharks do have very large eyes. And they do have these larger eyes that help them see in the environments where they like to swim in. So the Atlantic Sharpnose can be found in in estuarine areas and areas where it's a lot of ocean and turnover, where visibility maybe won't be as great. So they have those larger eyes to be able to help them see in the environment where they can swim in. And these sharks will also feed on small bony fish, worms, shrimp, crabs, and mollusks. Now we've gone over now a few different shark species, and do you think there's a trend of maybe what sharks like to eat? What are you noticing maybe a similarity between sharks and maybe that they're living in the Atlantic Ocean or over in Australia? What is a similarity of what sharks like to eat? Maybe you're typing in or saying fish, worms, no invertebrates, and you are correct. So a lot of these smaller species of sharks that we have been talking about, they will eat, those smaller fish, those smaller invertebrates that are along our ocean floor, because that is the prey item that is best fit for them. You wouldn't have an Atlantic Sharpnose, something that is only 3 feet long, go after a seal that can be over 6 feet in length and weigh hundreds of pounds. That wouldn't make sense, right? So a lot of times, our shark species will eat almost the same kind of food. Next, though, we're going to go to a very large shark in our ocean, or the basking shark. So this shark is very cool because even though it is so large, it eats something a little bit different than what we've been talking about so far. So our basking shark is the second largest shark in our ocean. They grow anywhere in 30 to 35 feet long. And with that, they can weigh over 5 tons. So this shark can get very, very big. And this is a species of shark that we do see actually around this time. We will start seeing them here off the East Coast here of the United States, specifically in the New England area where I live. And they are usually seen in pairs or in schools of 100 or more. So which is really incredible to think, we do have some species of sharks that do school, like blacktip sharks and hammerheads will migrate in big groups called a shiver. But we really don't see, these larger species of sharks like the white shark kind of school together. But our basking shark does. Could you imagine seeing a group of 100 basking sharks or more? That would be insane. And that is definitely something on my bucket list that I would love to go see and watch them feed. But what is special about the basking shark is that even though they're so large, they're a filter feeder. So they eat the zooplankton in the water. So if you guys watched Marianne's lesson yesterday, you learned all about zooplankton and phytoplankton in our waters, and they're very, very tiny and microscopic. So a shark so large can eat something so small. And with that, they can filter over 2,000 tons of seawater per hour for them to be able to feed, which is an incredible amount of water. That is something that is really hard to imagine, 2,000 tons, but they do filter a lot of seawater out for them to be able to eat. And what's very special is that when you're looking at this photo of the basking shark and you're looking into its mouth, you know, it looks very weird. It looks very different. Some might say it looks scary, but with that, you know, we do see sharks. All sharks have gills because that's how they breathe underwater. But with our basking shark, what you're looking at inside here is the inner workings of their gills and their gill rakers. And with that, they almost go all the way around their body. So you can see inside how big their gills are. Where most species of sharks, those gills maybe only take up a little section on either side of their body. But the basking shark is specialized because since they are filter feeding, that they are able to intake all that water and filter the zooplankton out so they are able to eat. Now, the basking shark is not the only filter feeding shark in our ocean. Can you guys tell me what our other filter feeding sharks are? I can give you a hint. One is the largest shark and the largest fish in our ocean. Do we know? If you are saying the whale shark, you are correct. So the whale shark is another species of shark, and the largest shark and the largest fish, that is a filter feeder. Now, what's different between our whale shark and our basking shark, you can see there that their gills do not wrap all the way around their body like the basking shark does, but they are still an effective filter feeder. And we do have another species of shark, which is the megamouth shark. And the megamouth is also a filter feeder as well. And just like the whale shark, you can kind of see their gill slits here further back, that they do not wrap around their body like our basking shark does. But these are the only 3 sharks that are filter feeders that we know of now. We are discovering new species of sharks every year. So maybe we will discover a shark that filter feeds, but for right now, it is only our basking shark, our whale shark, and our megamouth shark. There's something also I would like to note is that we have these 3 large species of sharks. The megamouth also gets over 20 feet in length. And that even though they are so large, they're eating the tiniest things in our ocean. So I just think that is pretty incredible that a shark that can be like the whale shark up to 40 feet in length, or a basking shark that can be over 30 feet in length, that they're so large, but they're eating things so tiny and they are able to sustain themselves on that food source. Next, we have our Thresher Shark, which is again a very cool species of shark in our ocean. Excuse me, it is allergy season, so it has just been a sneeze fest here today. But our Thresher Shark, which is again a very cool species of shark, they do have a very small mouth and they have very large eyes. You can see here in that photo just how small their mouth is and how large their eyes are. But that is a great characteristic of them. But, you know, we are usually known the Thresher Shark because of their super long tail. So their upper lobe of their caudal fin or their tail is extremely long, and it can be up to 2 times as long as their full body, which is incredible. This is the really only species of shark that has a super, super long top lobe of their tail like that. And they use their tail to stun their prey. So they have that super long tail and they use it as a whip to be able to stun the prey. And what's really special about the Thresher Shark is that just how we can be left or right-handed, the Thresher Shark can be left or right-finned as well. So researchers that will research Thresher Sharks, maybe if one has washed up or if they're watching them out in the wild, you can actually see scarring on the left or the right side of their tail, and it shows you what side they actually prefer to whip on, which is something really cool. Again, a fact I learned last year about these sharks. And they do feed on schooling fish. So they actually will work in pairs or in groups of thresher sharks to kind of ball up those schools of fish together. So they are more in a compact area. So they are able then to whip those fish and stun them so they are able to eat. But they can also rarely feed on squid. And also it has been observed of them kind of whipping and stunning seabirds as well. And what's also special about this species of shark is that it has been observed many times of them breaching and jumping out of the water as well. I know usually when we think of sharks breaching, we think of the white shark, but there are other species that do this as well, one being the Thresher Shark. Then we also have the great Hammerhead shark, which is an awesome species of sharks, because, you know, they have that awesome long hammer-like head. So that is how most people recognize the hammerhead, is because of that funky looking head that they have. But then they also have a very tall dorsal fin. So that top fin on their body is also very tall. It can be almost 3 feet high on some of these great hammerheads. And a special fact about the hammerheads is that they can get a suntan. So depending on where they are, specifically in the tropical region or in the Caribbean, where it's maybe more shallow water, where that tall dorsal fin will be sticking up, researchers did a study and that they can actually get a tan because they're in such shallow water and some of their body is sticking up out of the water, which is pretty cool. And these sharks primarily feed on stingrays and bony fish. And then they have a special hunting technique. So because they are feeding on stingrays and bony fish like flounder and fish that kind of bury underneath the sand, this is one of the reasons why they develop that kind of long hammer-like head. So they will use that head like a metal detector and kind of sweep along the bottom of the ocean floor, and they are able to find their food source that way. And they use their special sixth sense. Does anyone remember what the special sixth sense of a shark is? Does anyone remember? They use that ampullae of Lorenzini, or their sense of electroreception. And they use those little ampullae of Lorenzini pores along the bottom of their head to be able to hunt for their food within the sand and the sediment. And last but not least, guys, this is going to be our last shark species to learn about their diet for today, is the tiger shark. And our tiger shark, we all know what the tiger shark is and what it looks like. And it's very famous for those distinct tiger-like vertical markings on their body. And they kind of have the reputation for being the garbage can of the sea. And with that, they have seen tiger sharks with trash in their bodies. They've seen license plates, cans, you know, you name it. They've kind of seen a little bit of everything in their bodies, but they really don't like to eat trash. They do prefer to eat sea turtles is their main source of food, stingrays, other sharks, bony fish, seabirds, dolphins, squid, and crustaceans. So they do have a very large array of prey items that they do hunt for. And with that, they have these specialized teeth that help them kind of catch all these certain kinds of animals that they do look for. So this is what a tiger shark tooth looks like. This is taken from a tiger shark jaw. And with that, you can see how they have these little serrations on the edges. They do have a pointed end, and then it goes into more serrations. So that pointed end definitely helps them be able to puncture and catch those stingrays and bony fishes. But then those serrations also help them cut through the shell of a sea turtle, or maybe that thicker skin from a dolphin. So they have a specialized tooth to be able to help them eat their large array of prey items. But with that, guys, that is all about shark diets. I know there's over 500 species of sharks, so there can be a lot of different sharks that we could have talked about today. I can do many, many lessons about shark diets, but I did want to kind of highlight some of, you know, maybe the more popular sharks, but then also get into some different sharks that we haven't talked about today during our shark enrichment programming. So thank you guys so much for watching us today. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend, everyone. Bye, guys.